What is the purpose of Mr. McCullough trying to undermine the credibility of the witnesses, undermine the credibility of the victim? Still has not explained to us how you have a man on the force that feels like he's a child up against Hulk Hogan. So what kind of training and policing do you do?
Reverend Al Sharpton today with some pointed questions for the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney in the way that he announced the decision last night of the grand jury not to bring an indictment in the Michael Brown case. Reverend Sharpton, as you know, is the president of the National Action Network. He's also the host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC. He joins us from St. Louis tonight. It's nice to see you, Rev. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Rachel.
First, I want to ask you first, just at a personal level, how Michael Brown's family is doing and the people who are close to them in this scenario. Watching his mother erupt and his stepfather erupt last night with so much grief and anger. I just wonder how they're doing personally.
They're very pained. I've been, since day one when the grandfather called and asked National Action Network and me to get involved, stayed very much in touch with them. And it's been a very agonizing, painful thing for them, and it has been exacerbated by watching on live world television the disparaging of their son. I think that what made it so painful for the mother and father and the family was to have him so disparaged. You're talking about an 18-year-old young man who can't defend himself. And this is a prosecutor giving this profile to the world. It was like pouring salt in the wound for them.
Rev, one of the things that you raised today at the press conference that you did with members of the Brown family was that this prosecutor, in giving his own personal narrative about the case, essentially a lengthy legal defense of Officer Wilson and a justification for him not being indicted, you essentially said that he impugned the integrity of the witnesses and raised the prospect that that might affect the ability to bring other legal proceedings here, whether it's going to be a federal case, whether it's going to be a civil case. I just asked one of the family's attorneys about that, and he's expressed a lot of anger about it, although he said that they would do a case if they could, and it wouldn't interfere with it. What do you think will be the result of that prosecutor's decision? What do you think he was trying to do?
Well, I think that what is clear to me is that he set a premise that whatever proceedings go forward, let's say there's a federal grand jury to determine civil rights charges, you would have to wonder if the potential federal grand jurors from this district have in any way been prejudiced against witnesses that come before them, because the local county prosecutor has basically put a blanket over all of them that they're liars. The same with a civil jury. And this is so far out of the norm. If a prosecutor chooses not to prosecute, or a grand jury tells them that they voted against that, it is very rare, I've never heard of it, where they decide to come on national television and say, not only are we not going to prosecute, we're going to castigate and call liars the witnesses. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, if the witnesses were not credible in your judgment, then why did you put them in front of the grand jury? The grand jury is at the discretion of the prosecutor to bring witnesses that would lead to probable cause to indict or not indict. For you to bring them on that you found to be not credible, inconsistent, and/or liars means in and of itself you're making a mockery of your own proceedings.
Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, man, right at the heart of this story. Al, thanks for your time tonight. I know you're exhausted at this point. Thanks for being here. All right. There's still a lot to cover tonight, including news outside of Ferguson and also these ongoing protests tonight that we're keeping an eye on, including big ones tonight in Los Angeles, in Oakland, in New York City. Stay with us.